So more celebrities are speaking out about racism and the need for change in the wake of George Floyd's death. In an essay published in the Daily Beast, George Clooney calls racism our pandemic, saying, quote, "It infects all of us, and in 400 years, we've yet to find a vaccine." The actor also called for systematic change in our law enforcement and criminal justice system. Adele posted a photo of George Floyd, writing that racism isn't only about America and that racial inequality is alive and well everywhere. And Tiger Woods broke his silence, tweeting, quote, "My heart goes out to George Floyd, his loved ones, and all of us who are hurting right now. I have always had the utmost respect for our law enforcement. They train so diligently to understand how, when, and where to use force. This shocking tragedy clearly crossed that line." Erica, what would you make of the celebrity outreach, and then also in response to Tiger Woods?
I think that celebrity outreach is important, but it's not the most important. It's important that we as a society come together and make our voices be heard. The fact that they have larger platforms and more influence might give some people the comfort or courage that they need to speak out, but it can't stop with celebrities. The Tiger Woods thing, I'm glad that he's speaking out. Tiger Woods is a golfer. He is being diplomatic, and that seems on brand for him. I'm not gonna call people out for how they choose to say what they need to say.
You don't agree with his post?
I think he did a very on brand post.
You didn't
it was a diplomatic response.
You didn't feel it was honest?
I feel like it was a diplomatic response.
Okay. Meantime, Jeff, Kevin Hart posted a message to media outlets to be a part of the solution and not to be a part of the problem by pushing for social justice reform. Take a look at this.
Within a solution is defined for change, and that change is justice. That officer was only charged with third degree. It should be first degree murder. The other officers there still have yet to be charged. They should be charged. That's bringing justice. That's making people feel like something is going to change.
Jeff?
Listen, I got to tell you, I love Kevin Hart. I always say I'm a huge fan of his. And when we compare what celebrities are doing, listen, I get it, okay? I feel pressure, too, that I need to say something. But when George Clooney says something, it doesn't really come off right, but I know he has to. When Kevin Hart talks, when Erica Cobb talks, they're talking from their heart. You feel what they're saying, so you listen more. And again, we keep saying silence is violence, and I understand where people are coming from, but I'd rather listen to the Erica Cobbs of the world. I'd rather listen. I know some people are coming in at the half hour, but they should go back and watch that Mike and Anthony interview, because it's coming from the heart. These are the stories I want to hear. This is when I say, you could read it in textbooks, but you're not feeling that pain. When I mentioned Killer Mike earlier, I'm sorry we don't have a reference to that. He's an Atlanta rapper. He spoke from his heart. He moved me when I saw that video, and I wanted to cry. And it's tough for people like me that are white to express that and trying to walk in a black person's shoes when you never are going to do that. It's impossible. So when I see people like the Erica Cobbs of the world and the Kevin Harts for these examples, these are the people I want to listen to.
Jeff, I've missed your voice. I couldn't have said it better myself. There's only so much empathy that we can have as allies. We have to listen, and Jeff was referring to Mike Brown Sr. in the earlier block, and as well as Anthony Shahid. That is an activist. He started the Hands Up, Don't Shoot chant. Hopefully you could go to our social pages and watch that, just as Jeff suggested. Erica, Magic Johnson spoke to CNN's Anderson Cooper about having the talk with his sons. And it's not the talk that Jeff and I would be thinking of, right? If our parents suggested that to us, we would think it's the talk about sex. That's our white privilege. This one is about interacting with police.
Well, it doesn't matter if I'm Magic Johnson or not. My kid, just like I am, still a black man, right? And yes, I had that conversation because it's important that I have that conversation with both EJ and Andre. If you pulled over, make sure, you got your hands out of the window, make sure that you comply.
Wow. Now listen, I'm supposed to continue on, but I kind of want to pause here, if that's okay, and just go right to Erica, because That's the thing. Jeff, white people all around the world, we've never had to have that talk, Erica. My parents never had to sit me down and say, this is what you got to do, Sam, if you get pulled over a police officer. I've never once feared for my life from a police officer. What was that talk like with you? And have you thought about having that talk one day with your children, if you do decide to have children?
Well, I think, you know, kind of like what we were talking about earlier with Mike Brown Sr., like that talk hasn't stopped, and I think that's one of the most devastating things for our older generation, that it was supposed to stop. Excuse me. Excuse me. I remember having the talk. I remember my brothers having a very different talk, but it was still the talk. What's happening right now, and I was just saying to you, is like, it's like a scab has been pulled off, because we've been going along to get along and acting like so many things that were very covert didn't exist, because in a lot of ways it was just easy for everybody to do that. Now we're talking about it openly, and we are openly showing our pain, which has been protected pain in the past. Like, we protect that, because when we're open about these conversations, there's this idea that we're not just being open to allies, we're being open to people who have nefarious purposes with our pain. That's a protected thing. And now we're having these conversations, and it feels like we're being exposed on a level that I know I've been willing to expose certain things on this show, but like, I understand for so many people this is very uncomfortable. It's an uncomfortable, vulnerable position to be in, but it's a vulnerable position that we have to take 2 steps back to gain 5 steps forward to stand in our power. It's almost like when people are trying to make it look like something versus actually building the foundation to make it be something. We're saying, we're not going to make it look pretty for you anymore.
Right.
We're going to tear down this house of cards, and we are going to build something that is going to be sustainable based on racial equality, justice for all, and the idea that Black lives matter just as much as anyone else's lives.
Amen. I'm so happy you said that, because Jeff, you know, we've been getting comments from people saying, why don't you show more positive stories, more positive images? And we do that, we do. But it's a delicate balance, because we also want to put a spotlight on those grave injustices and inspire uncomfortable conversation, because if we don't have these conversations, and to your point, Jeff, if we can't listen to the Erica Cobbs or the Mike Seniors or the Anthony Shahids or the Killer Mikes, how are we supposed to learn and evolve?
We won't. That's just it. And what Erica said, you have to put it on table. You have to rip that Band-Aid off. It's uncomfortable for a white person to hear. It's uncomfortable. How do you think Erica Cobb feels telling these stories, reliving that pain? It's not uncomfortable for us. We need to man up as a human, or woman up, sorry, as a country, and start listening to these stories, start seeing the injustices. If you haven't seen Roots, I don't mean to be that, you know, I don't mean to go back and watch a movie like that. Go back and see that and know what these people have been through. And we, as white people, want to say, we're uncomfortable to have this conversation. I think we got things backwards in this country, and I think we need to start talking about it right now.